O'Reilly! You've got questions? O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Deep automotive knowledge, just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is a podcast from Minute Media.
Hashtag no music, no intro. And we have almost made it. It is draft week. Thank God. We are 3 days away from the NFL draft. And I don't know if it's because you and I have slightly minusculely been a part of this draft process for the first times in our lives by going to the Senior Bowl. You know, we talked to a couple of prospects, we got to know a couple of players and things like that. I don't know if that makes the draft season feels longer than normal, or maybe the fact that the Saints have 2 first-round picks in this draft and can completely fuck it up. So it feel like it's been a long draft season process, but every year it feels like a long draft season process. It's here, and let's just before we get into anything. I would be remiss if I didn't give an incredible shout out to one of our listeners, one of our fans, Brian. Not going to put your last name out there out on blast, in just case you want to stay, incognito, but truly from the bottom of our hearts, what you did for Ryan and I today, can't really put it into words. We truly appreciate it, and thank you so much. I just feel like I just needed to lead the show off with that. Yes. I also wanted to say, and I tweeted it, but if Twitter does go to shit because of Elon Musk buying Twitter, although I don't think it will, I think it's going to be just fine. But with all the pearl clutching going on the timeline, not a more perfect opportunity to become a Saints Twitter or maybe Saints Tesla podcast. Patron, so you can get access to the Discord. Love our Discord group. It's a small group, but we have great lively discussions about prospects and about a lot of shit. It's just not about football, everything. It's a great group of people. So if you either are already a Patreon and you don't have access to it yet, although I think we've sent to the link to people who are Patreons at this point, reach out. If you're not a Patreon, become a Patreon. As soon as you become a Patreon, you get access to you get the link to the Discord as well as the Twitter communities. All of the Twitter communities ain't all that. It's like the Discord seems to be more an appropriate place. Just nothing, bro. Anyway,
it just don't work. It just don't work.
It doesn't. Hey, Elon, get on communities, bro. let's get that fixed. Let's just start with this. Let's start with the draft in general. Then we'll really, really dig into the Saints. You put this on Twitter that we should have a drinking game in Vegas. By the way, in case you have missed it, Ryan and I will be in Vegas for the draft. We won't be at the draft, but we'll be having a very sad draft party. But we're going to still have fun. We're going to be live streaming the draft like we did last year, except we'll be together in person from the Katina spot, margaritas, tequila. And Ryan put it on Twitter that him and I should have a drinking game that before each pick during the live stream, we each guess what the team for the top 10 only. We guess what the pick will be for the team picking the top 10. And if we get the pick wrong, then we have to take a shot. And I'll say this, right? One, my tolerance isn't what it used to be. That's not really what I'm really worried about. I'm more worried about Vegas prices for some shots, bro. Get cut the price.
I mean, we got to holler at the cantina and be like, man, look, we up in here streaming. Give us a little deal.
Something like we give you some free publicity.
Something, man. We got y'all streaming on Twitter, you know.
But I'm not even worried about. Again, I'm not worried about getting hammered, being drunk. Although I think that's a good segue, just talking about this top 10, because that's one thing about this draft that makes it. I feel like that this year has made it more exciting than other years. Man, is that, bro? We don't know shit.
Nothing, bro. Nothing. I mean, there's about 3 or 4 players that can go 1 overall. You know, we don't know.
It's wild. It has swung from Aiden Hutchinson to Trayvon Walker, who's now the betting favorite in Vegas. Then you heard something come out from Matt Miller, who, what have you, been blocked for years, but Adam Schefter retweeted it, that it could be Ike Ekwonu, the tackle from NC State, which kind of makes sense if you go by what Doug Peterson's done as a head coach and his belief in having a strong offensive line and all that. And we have no clue, bro. We have no clue how this top 10 is going to go. And it makes it extremely, extremely exciting. What are you looking for? Or are you looking for anything in the top 10 in general that has your attention?
I really want, obviously, I mean, I know it's kind of cliche, but I want to see what happens with the quarterbacks. Like, does someone make that reach? Because everybody's talking about, this quarterback class ain't all that. Nobody should take a quarterback in the top 10. But let's face it, bro. I mean, look, the Detroit Lions, they got, get Jared Goff. The Giants, they sitting over there with, Daniel Jones, who they reached for a couple of years ago. Atlanta sitting there. Carolina is the big question mark. So it's like, who's gonna fill that itch? Who has the power with the Carolina Panthers? Is Matt Rule gonna try to save his job with a quarterback? I just want to see, like, it's just gonna be so major, because if it doesn't happen in the top 10, we don't know where it's gonna happen at. We don't know.
Don't know, man. Don't know. The only team I'm 100% confident that will get a quarterback in this draft is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Other than in the first round. Other than that, bro, I have no fucking clue. None. What I'm looking for is, and this ties into the Saints. What I'm looking for is the run in the top 10. Will it help the Saints land a position that they want? So let's go back to 2017. So this is not a Patrick Mahomes rant. I'm going to preface this by saying that. But the 2 picks that really helped the Saints land Marshawn Lattimore is, I don't know where they were picking, but the Chargers picked Mike Williams in the top 10. And then the Bengals at number 9. It's crazy. I still remember even the fucking place they were picking. The Bengals at number 9 drafted John Ross.
Ooh, I remember.
And this is one of the reasons why I fuck with Tony Pauline so much, and I'm glad we were able to get him on the pod every year, is that this is before Tony was at Pro Football Network, and he just ran his own little site, and he was just out there grinding. And that year, I don't know what was in the water, bruh, but Tony was so plugged into every team in 2017. He nailed the first 10 picks, bruh. First 10 picks. So I remember I was at my girl's place in San Diego watching the draft. And before the commissioner announced the pick, I said, it's going to be this player. And I was right every time. And at one point, she just looked at me, just disgusted, like, who like are you? Like, you're gross. Like, what illness do you have? And so for this draft, it's technically three positions. If the Saints want to land at least a premier wide receiver, there has to be a big run on offensive tackles, and the Saints potentially want to get a tackle too. But there has to be a run on tackles. There has to be a run on edge rushers, and there may potentially even need to be two cornerbacks, Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley Jr., who's kind of completely flipped his draft stock around. If there's a run on, bruh. You know how NFL head coaches are, bruh? They just throw that 2019 film on us like, ooh, if I could just coach him and like,
man, press man corner with good speed and fluidity, ball skills. Come on now.
Derek Stingley's 2019 tape was some of the best college cornerback tape I've ever seen watching.
Yes.
It was that good.
It's that good. And
I know coaches they in the war rooms right now, bruh, just saying we can work with it. We'll figure it out. We can work with it, whatever. But if those three positions, tackle, edge rusher, potentially two corners go in the top 10, top 12, let's say, bruh, it's about these pass catchers, bruh. Are they going to fall? And if they are going to fall, I have come to terms. I've done my the Catholic thing with the cross, and I've done that and just said, you know what, Jameson, it's not gonna happen, bro. Like, it's not gonna happen, bro. I'm so confident it's not gonna happen that I put money on Jameson going top 10, and I've also put money that he's gonna be the first wide receiver drafted, bro. I am sure of it, because what happened? We just had the same conversation with Derek Stingley, right?
Yeah.
Coaches put the tape on Jameson Williams. They see what he did to Georgia's defense in the SEC championship game. They just like, it's just the ACL.
ACL, that's it. Look, ACL.
It would buck the trend, because the last player that had an injury like that went top 10 was Todd Gurley. Right, if I remember correctly. So that's a couple of years ago. It would buck the trend. But even if Jameson goes, and I know he's going before the Saints get on the clock at 16. It's like the Cardinals want Jameson Williams. There's teams that want to trade, like elite teams in like lower in the draft that want to trade up to get him. He's going high. I just want to know, if he goes high, is that next tier the Garrett Wilsons, the Chris Olaves? I know he's not. I know we're not the biggest fan of his, but like the Drake Londons, where are they going to go? And will one of them be there at 16 or 19 if the Saints choose not to go there at 16?
That's the ultimate question. It's like, who will be there? My biggest fear is that there's a run in those mid rounds, and the Saints just wait it out, try to be patient, and there's just a run on wide receivers because of the way these contracts are coming out with these wide receivers, man. I mean, they're getting big time QB money, bro. Like, they're getting paid. So I'm just wondering if some of these teams, even if the teams are not picking there right now, if teams try to move up to snatch some of these, elite wide receivers, my biggest fear is just us sitting there at, 16 or whatever. Just, maybe Drake London is there.
Get big Treylon, baby.
Big Treylon with his
rotund self.
That Raising Canes and shit. It's like, I don't want to have them, because I want to be able to look at like a buffet, like you walk in to the buffet at the casino or whatever, and they pulling out the fried fish, and they got the shrimp seafood, and they got the crabs, crab legs, and all that shit. You just pull up and like, what do I want? I don't even know. Should I get 2 plates, 3 plates? I wanted to be like that, man. I wanted to be like, what wide receiver do I want? Pick your choice.
And it's going to be so crucial where the run starts, right? Because if there, I think if for the Saints, there's two teams that are kind of pivotal to how they go in the draft. And they happen to be division rivals, right? First team, Carolina Panthers, right? So let's back this up and let's go through the two lines of thought that we've heard. Well, the main thought we've heard in terms of reporting, right? Tony Pauline came on our show a couple of weeks ago. He said the Saints wanted 2 or 3 positions: quarterback, offensive tackle, wide receiver. Alt Breer put his article out today where he goes through every team and what they're trying to do in the draft. His line of thinking was wide receiver, offensive tackle, potentially defensive line. Ugh. You have Underhill at NOF football, who has consistently been reporting that the Saints have interest in Charles Cross, potentially maybe if they were able to sign a Jarvis Landry, and that they could then move up to Charles Cross. And so that puts into play number 6, Carolina Panthers. 1, if they go quarterback, right, then you have Charles Cross potentially falling a little lower than maybe most people think he was going to go in the draft. Then you could have the Saints trying to go from 16 to wherever he is and try to trade up to get him. I guess my biggest fear in this draft, bar none, is that these dudes don't stay patient and they package 16 and 19, go up to number 5 and draft an offensive tackle in Charles Cross. That, to me, my biggest fear. Because then I'm back to what's the vision at that point, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So you basically spent 3 picks
on the tackle.
First from next year, and you traded your first this year to get 2 picks to get a tackle, And I like Cross. Cross is, I'm not going to sit here and sit like I did like a 10-game study on a dude. But from what I've seen and understand, he's a versatile, good tackle who is somebody I can see the Saints like. Like he just looks like somebody the Saints would like, So looks like a good pick to me, but no, like they need to do anything they can to keep those 2 first-round picks. I don't mind them trading up, like just taking the 16, packaging it with something, 3rd round or whatever, move up a little bit to get. Okay, I'm cool with that, but don't trade both.
Because I look at the trade both. To me, it would be a direct contradiction from what we've heard, right? We've heard from, now we're not hearing, when I say we've heard, this is what's been reported and maybe some things we've heard, but we've heard that the Saints mindset, front office mindset, is that they are a contending team that may be closer in terms of a playoff team that can contend rather than a rebuild, which is why they wanted to get 2 first-round picks to add talent to the team to continue to compete. Peter King said in his little article, he put a mock draft out this morning, said it best, like the mindset in the Saints is like we've beaten Tom Brady 4 times in the regular season. Like we are closer than what people are. Well, you won one of those games 9-0. So just saying, like
I wouldn't bet on that,
So for me, the mindset is draft good players at 16 and 19, and we have them on a rookie contract. If those players are good, cheap. They're trying to recreate the 2017 draft all over again. Right? You got Marshawn, you got Ram. So it's to them, if they can recapture that, and again, all the pressure's on Jeff Ireland, bro. There's a lot of pressure on Jeff Ireland. A lot of
pressure, boy. Better draft.
If they can recreate that and hit on 16 and 19, you got good to potentially great players on a 5 years cheap deals. Your whole cap situation can change. You can extend McCoy. You can extend potentially CeeDee, whoever maybe you need to extend, and your window gets kind of is extended to trade 16 and 19 to me to jump up to 5 or where potentially ever they meet jump up to draft a tackle. It doesn't make any sense to me. It really would. I should say it would blow my mind, but with this team, bro, nothing blows my mind. So but it would be a direct contradiction to what everything that's been reported.
And for what it's worth, I mean, Tony Pauline, he said he hadn't heard anything about them trading up in the top 10.
Isn't that funny? It's like two, and I'm not saying Underhill's right. I'm not saying Tony's right, but isn't that funny how like sources work? Like people both have sources and hear two different things. I will say this though, Tony even doubled down, and he's really the only person. Well, not the only one, but he's one of the few that is not putting his career or whatever, but like he is reporting that I said I'm sure that the Steelers want to come out in the first round with the quarterback. Tony a couple of days ago kind of doubled down what he said on this podcast that he's hearing that the Steelers and the Saints want a first round quarterback, which I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but part of me would be surprised. I would be a little shocked if they drafted a quarterback in the first round.
If they're there,
I would be shocked if they if Kenny Pickett was there and Malik was there. I could see them drafting Malik. If it was just Kenny Pickett there potentially at 16, it wouldn't shock me at all if they passed on it.
See, I don't know if they'll take Malik. I just don't know. But I think if Kenny Pickett is there at 19, not 16, but if he's there at 19, I think they take him.
But that would be interesting, right? Because the buzz these last couple of days is shifting that the Steelers have this infatuation with Malik, and maybe that's been a smokescreen this whole time. And actually, they and I've heard this from 2-3 different places now that they actually want Kenny Pickett. So if that's true potentially, then the Steelers would need to maneuver in front of the Saints and make some type of trade with the Eagles at 18 to potentially secure Kenny Pickett. Oh, just to my point, I would even say my mind is like, if you have a quarterback and you're going to draft him at 19, you might as well just fucking draft him at 16, man. Like, why you don't?
I agree.
Like, you don't, like, that's just a position I don't think you can.
I just don't know if they're looking at it like that. I don't know. I can't get a feel on how they feel about these quarterbacks. You know, I think they want one, but they're not in love with one, you know? Because if they're in love with one, go get them. Like, it's just not even, don't play around with it. Just go get them. Like, if you got to trade up, whatever. But if you just like, oh, you know, it meets the grade here, you know, that's it. Well, it's like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. You know, it's funny. And I have no idea if that, and I know everyone, you know, Sean, what he said, whatever, after he was drafted. But like that line of thinking sounds exactly how they drafted like Peyton Turner last year, bro. That did. Exactly. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know how. I just wish I could see the draft board for 1 minute.
Just give me. I want not even 1 minute, bro. Just give me 30 seconds to see the cloud. Just 30 seconds.
30 seconds just to see the cloud. How y'all got it racked up?
Something I do want to ask you is, okay. I know both of us were very, very upset. I don't know why we were so upset. I know why, but like that Sean Payton quote,
bro, I was hot, bro.
When he was like, oh, they don't need to draft a wide receiver in the first round. They can just get a receiver in the second round. That's where we drafted Mike Thomas. That was like
just like some old, just sounded like old boomer, bro. Like just shut up.
6 years ago, bro.
6 years ago, bro. Like you coached this team last year, like you last 2 years. Like you saw the Saints versus Chiefs. You saw it.
That's one of your favorite games to go back to, bro.
It's my favorite one, bro, because it's like it just like the dichotomy was just out, like just crazy.
Was it though?
Like you saw like the Saints beat the Tampa Bay 9-0. Like he probably look at it like, oh hell yeah, but like that shit sucked. I mean, it didn't suck because that was like fun as fuck.
Right.
But I'm just saying at the same time, it was like, damn, we just like all Tom Brady need to do is throw like a touchdown and he back up in this thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit was stressful, man. Like,
Man,
I ain't trying to live like that, bro.
Taysom Hill was throwing the fucking Kevin White and Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills just got an article put up about him, how he's like endorsing
Psychedelics, bro. He's popping shrooms, bro. He popping shrooms was a starting wide receiver for the Saints last year. And hey, look, on this podcast, we wanted Kenny Stills. That's just how thirsty we was. We just like, sign anybody. We don't care. But this man not even worrying about football. This man is popping shrooms now, like full hippie mode.
And that's why like I don't think it would happen, but in terms of like Garrett Wilson, but if Garrett Wilson's there at 16, bro, like just draft. Like I'm not even a huge Garrett Wilson fan, bro.
I know you're not a big fan, man. But the dude, nice, man. Nice in it, bro. Nice.
I don't see it, but I read that Alt Breer article when he interviewed Brian Hartline, the wide receivers coach at Ohio State, because Hartline coached Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, and Garrett Wilson. And reading Hartline's assessment of Garrett Wilson as a player, if you didn't know it was Garrett Wilson, you would have thought he was talking about Michael Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Like I read and I was like, that sounds exactly like Michael Thomas. I don't see it as much in the film, but if you could get like even like a Ross or TJ Maxx version of Michael Thomas, like it may be counterproductive, but at this point, who fucking cares? Just something, please. I texted you this before the draft. I tweeted it. George Pickens is my wide receiver 3 in this draft, bro. They wanted to draft George Pickens at 19. I'm completely fucking fine with it. Completely. I'm fine with it. He meets the metrics. I'm like his film and his tape, like he just pops, man. He pops. He pops more.
I could tell Rosenthal was watching him because he was like, tweeted like, why is Pickens not going top 10 and Jameson Williams is? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
all right.
I don't think Greg was saying like he's a better prospect, but he's like, basically Jameson Williams coming off ACL. You know what I'm saying? Like Kenny Pickett had an ACL. He was out for a year, whatever. He missed some time, whatever. Like, should he be downgraded that much? Like dude was good. Like, he's a good wide receiver, man.
Good.
Like,
good
speed, physical,
he
length,
also
everything.
I don't know what if going by the 2016 draft with the Michael Thomas selection, he kind of seems like a Jeff Ireland type of wide receiver too.
Yeah, man.
Doesn't like, you know what I mean? Just explosive, physical, has that dog in him. Like, true dog. As the draft gets closer, there are 2 players. There's one for sure that it sounds like he may be there. And when, again, we're referencing to Tony Pauline, if you didn't listen to that episode, you missed out on a lot of good stuff. I know a lot of y'all suffering from draft fatigue. We see the numbers, y'all. We see the numbers, y'all. Ain't listening as much. Well, don't worry. We know the numbers going to go up after Thursday. But going back to that episode, I asked about Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame. And he said that he won't get to where the Saints pick at 16. He'll go just above that. The same article that Tony Pauline said that the Steelers and the Saints will or want to come out from the first round to quarterback. In that same article is a tidbit on Kyle Hamilton that said that now, as he was hearing it, Kyle Hamilton may go 15 to 20, bruh. If Kyle Hamilton's there at 16, bruh, like maybe I think I know this team too well. I just couldn't see them passing of him at 16. I really couldn't.
I couldn't see it, bro. I couldn't see it.
I see the press conference now.
Oh man! Oh come on now, it's written. We had this guy as a top 5, had a top 5 grade in this draft.
For him to be there at 16 when we're on the board, this was a no-brainer. He's a good guy. Listen, I don't want it to sound like we're knocking Kyle Hamilton as a player. I watched some Kyle Hamilton. How do I word this? I do get why there's some trepidation about him as a player, but honestly, he's like an elite fucking talent.
No, he's great, man. But I think if people think he's just gonna be like a center fielder with range, no, that's not him.
It's not. He's
a baller. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just a dude that's gonna be in the mix, just an alpha male in the secondary to defense. Like,
I'll say this, and we've talked a little shit about some DA here and there. Kyle Hamilton landed in DA's system and DA secondary with CeeDee, with Marshawn, with Paulson.
DA, no way DA could pass that up. Like, he loves safety. He loves his secondary players, man. DA cut his teeth on the secondary. You know what I'm saying?
If he's there at 16, if you are listening to this podcast right now, if he is there at 16, when I say he, I mean Kyle Hamilton, and the Saints do not draft him, I will order the biggest margarita. The biggest margarita at the place we're doing the fucking live stream. And I will drink that shit before the first round is over.
That's margarita.
That's how much confidence, and that's how much confidence I have in these, and just knowing how this team operates. If the Saints do not draft a wide receiver at 16 or 19, are you utterly disappointed?
I'd be a little deflated, but I wouldn't be disappointed. Now, if they don't draft one in the first round, I'd be highly disappointed.
No, I said the first round.
Oh, in the first round?
Yeah.
I'd be disappointed, bro. I'd be disappointed as hell, man. I'd be deflated. You know, like, I'd be disappointed. Like, there wouldn't be no way around it. Like, I guess depending on who was left on the board in the second round, but man, come on, I've seen enough second rounds. We know how it goes. Like, as soon as that clock starts in the first round, bro, everybody you love, pop, 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 go. Go, bro. I've seen enough second rounds. I've had the hope, like, at least so-and-so's still on board. Nah, you won't have a chance.
33, 34, 35, gone, bro.
Gone, bro. Gone. That's when teams just don't care. You will see the same position group go like 5 in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care no more. It's not about, first round and, positional value and all that. Once you get to day 2, get your players. That's all that matters. You know what I'm saying?
That's all that matters.
And I feel like that should be the way in the first round too. You know what I'm saying? Like, for Kyle Hamilton, regardless of how you feel about him, if you feel this guy's like just a great player, like, who cares? Like,
what's funny?
If in 10 years he's like this is a Hall of Fame type player, like,
doesn't
who
matter.
Cares where he went? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who gives a shit?
I know where they go in the draft may be completely different spots because this player went top 5 and Kyle Hamilton might go the 15 to 20 range. But if he like hits, I think he could be the New York Jets version of Jamal Adams, but with better coverage ability.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if you can get that version of Jamal Adams with better coverage ability in your secondary, that's a damn good player, man.
Right.
Like, there's the 2 games I watched where he just looked just amazing. Florida State game where he made those 2 insane interceptions where he had like the Marcus Williams type of range to make in 2 plays. He made the same play and he made the same play twice in the same game. He showed Marcus Williams range like he did against the Eagles, like he did against the Texans, where he intercepted the ball coming from the other half of the field. It was insane. That game and another game, the Purdue game, that was a more of a like a bigger version of like CD Deuce at like the strong safety put like, or maybe like Malcolm Jenkins, but like a bigger version. Like he was everywhere against Purdue, bro. Like I was like, God damn, he's an elite talent. Like I think he's just a player I think the NFL is just going to overthink.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of those.
Yeah, and he's just not going to, like, to me, his perfect landing spot honestly should be 11 to the Commanders.
Oh yeah,
with as much coverage bust that they had last year. I know some of that was on Landon Collins. The secondary's not very good. You got Ron Rivera, a defensive head coach. Like, to me, that makes the most sense. Or if he got to 13, Lovie Smith, they don't go corner like, but if he's there at 16, man, you just turn in the card. Just turn it in. And I say this even thinking, I think if Kyle Hamilton's on the board at 16, even if Malik and Kenny Pickett on the board, even though the Saints probably should go with quarterback at 16 because you always go quarterback, you should because of the ramifications in the importance of position. But I still think Kyle Hamilton would be the pick. I'm that confident about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's that high of a player.
Are you? So I tweeted out players I would hate that the Saints to draft. Do you have any players in this draft, first round? We're only doing first round that you would hate and despise for the Saints to draft.
Penning, bro.
Not a Trevor Penning fan, bro.
Not a fan, man. Like I read everything they said about him. I don't want him, man. Like I feel like that'll be Ruiz part 2, bro. Just at the tackle spot. Like I don't want him, man. I don't want him. I'd be pissed. I get it. I understand it. Like if they drafted him, like it makes sense, all that shit. But like I'd hate it, man. Like I don't have a good feeling about Penning, man. I think it'll be a reach. I really do. And I think at that spot where he falls, I think they start reaching for those tackles. There's a couple really good tackles, but I think it just falls off the map. And I think Penning would just be like that reach of, this guy's good. He showed a little something here. No, man. I don't want him, man. Like, I would hate that, bro. But I don't hate a lot of these players, bro. Like, to me, I agree with like what Loomis said. Loomis was talking about like, man, there's like a lot of guys here that just kind of like in a big stack that are just like good, There's not a lot of great blue chip talent in this draft. Like just, people that just blow you away. But there's just a lot of good, really good, solid starters. So I haven't really watched many people that I'm just like, like I don't want him. You know what I'm saying? I just haven't, man. Like everybody looked at it, I was like, I can see him, especially wide receivers. I don't know if there's a wide receiver I don't like, bro. Maybe the Purdue kid, that's about it, but he's not going in the first round anyway. Like the league has finally caught up with him because he was the list I was with David Bell, I think.
Yes.
The list when I started like in December or January, he was like considered like late first round. I looked at him, I was like, hell no. I looked at him, I was like, no way. And now I see him, he's going like third, fourth in like simulators. So I'm like, okay, now they caught up. So there's nobody I really hate.
I don't know if I don't know how I feel about Penning. Like, I'll say this about Penning. I don't know if I would hate it. I wouldn't be amused about it or that happy about it. I do think that the Saints may get bailed out with Penning because, if again, going back to Tony Pauline, if you read what he's put out, he's essentially reported that if Penning's on the board at 14 for the Ravens, he's not getting past 14. Good luck, Lamar. I'm glad you can scramble well. But the three players I tweeted earlier, Jordan Davis, George Karlaftis, and I can't even think who the third person, who the third player is right now. It's skipping my mind. I just don't.
You're not on Team Jordan Davis, huh?
Nah, bro. I watched 3 or 4 games, and I just wasn't moved at all. And I was just kept like, when players like blow up a combine or they work out great, and that kind of jades your opinion of them kind of going into it. And something that I've gotten a lot better about with the whole draft thing over these years is kind of going into players with clean slates, meaning staying away from social media, staying away from what the consensus is. So like your opinion of a player isn't already kind of predetermined before you watch them, and just going in clean, man. And I went in. First of all, I just have a very big aversion to drafting defensive tackles in the first round period.
Yeah.
Saints ain't been good at it. Seth Ellis, Sheldon Rankins. We want to talk about drafting defensive tackles from Georgia. One of the worst fucking draft trades ever. Like I remember where I was when that trade happened, bro. Like, anyhow, because that was when the draft was on a Saturday. So, but when I watched them, I was just watching. And I was just like, where is the hype? Like Jordan Davis doesn't provide you any pass rush. Like, he's big and he's stout and he's great in the run game, but like, that's about it. And to me, I feel like if you're drafting a defensive tackle in the top 15 or highly in the draft, they got to be like a Vita Vea. They got to be a Haloti Ngata, where they're not just great run stuffers, but like on passing downs, they can get after the fucking quarterback. I remember when Vita Vea was in that draft, I watched a couple of games of him at Washington, and I was like, oh my God. Like it was
destroyed the pocket. He was a pocket destroyer.
It was apparent, and Jordan Davis is not that at all. And so I guess I could see them drafting him, thinking like get him with Ryan Nielsen and blah blah blah. No, man, like keep your first round pick for that. Like I would hate them to use their first round pick on Jordan Davis. I watched George Karlaftis from Purdue, and I watched like 2 games of his, and I was just like, he's an edge rusher. Of course, he meets the Saints' limited metrics, and I was just like, this dude tape sucks. Like, he wasn't like there was no rush, there was no explosion and rush. It was nothing. I just kept waiting, and I was like, it was one of those players where I was just like, he's getting first round buzz. Him? I didn't see it, man. I didn't see it.
Yeah, the thing with Jordan Davis is when I saw him perform so crazy at the combine, I was like, damn, the Saints might draft him.
Oh yeah.
Just because
the first thing I thought about.
Just because, like, you see, they love those prototypes, man. Like, Akeem Hicks. This dude was in Canada, in college in Canada. He had no tape to be impressed at. Like, I remember watching his tape in Canada. I was like, he's big, you know what I'm saying? But he was such a prototype that they just took him. Yeah, that was in the 3rd round. Same thing with Onyemata. Onyemata didn't even know how to play football. but he was a prototype. You know, they like those guys, man. And, you know, I'm sure I could just see them looking at Jordan Davis and those measurables and those stats. And like, ooh, man, if we could just get him and I could line him up, shade it to the guard. They had him lined it up like this. I'd shade him over the guard's right shoulder, and he could do this and that and just talk themselves into it.
That's about to say, bro. As soon as you start talking yourself into a player, you already lost.
I know, yeah. But
that's how it works in the NFL, though.
That's just how it works, bro. That's how it works with the Saints for sure. So that's why I was just like, man, when I saw him perform like that, I was like, man, if he's there, it's going to be hard for them to pass him up, man. It's going to be hard for him, bro. If he's there at one of those picks. I don't know which one.
Oh, that I would be disgusted with. I looked it up. Like, disgusted, bro. I would be like, Nick, we draft Jordan Davis in the first round. Like, I might get up from the live stream and just, you know the meme with the old black man just at the doorway, bro?
What?
Speak, bro. It's me 100%, bro. Don't give me Jordan Davis, bro. Don't do this to me. And it's funny. I was even higher on. Like, I didn't want the Saints to draft Christian Barmore last year at 28, and I turned out to be wrong. And he went to the Patriots in the second round and had a great rookie season. I was higher on Christian Barmore than I am on Jordan Davis, because at least he showed something at the pass rush.
Yeah.
Look, I looked up my third player. It was Desmond Ritter. Please stay away from him.
You don't want him to stay away from him.
God, I watched like 3 or 4 games of his, and his accuracy is just.
That's the thing that gets me.
If you can't be accurate with the football as a quarterback, bro, I don't want you. I don't
want it. Like, maybe it's just like coming up with Drew Brees so many years. Like, accuracy is just a big thing to me, bro. Like,
huge.
Not accurate. And that's the main thing that stood out to me. I like everything about it as far as like his footwork. I like how he moves. Like, I could kind of talk myself into him, but man, some of those balls, I'm like, what? Like, I don't know.
That bitch be
and I noticed that. I noticed that at the Senior Bowl too.
Yep.
Like, it's not accurate to me, bro. Like, to me, that's something you either got or you don't.
Yes, and like I think that's like we got to see Kenny Pickett up close. And that was one thing about Kenny Pickett, bro. Like we described him after the Senior Bowl. It was just smooth, bro. Like he just
looked like a quarterback, man. Like, I don't know if that sounds racist or whatever.
White dude out there just looking like a quarterback.
Looking like a quarterback. I know it's like a racist statement, but I mean, like, literally, I wasn't not even talking about the race, but just the way he went through his work, man. It just looked like a dude that knew what he was doing, And look, Malik Willis is my number one, but
easy.
Just Kenny Pickett, I could just see him starting on Sundays, man. Like, just doing his thing.
Yeah, me and Greg have been having conversations about Kenny Pickett.
I know Greg do not like.
I think here's the thing. Here's the thing that Greg does, and he'll admit it. He'll take what everyone's saying about prospects and form opinions, and then like a week before the draft, like then he starts like watching tape and is like, oh, okay, like maybe I was like he's arguing about Kenny Pickett not being good, and I can say, Greg, I'm not going to have this conversation with you until you actually go watch it. I'm not going to do it, bro. I'm not going to do it.
I think I remember. I could be wrong, but I think I remember him being kind of down on Andrew Luck, like during the draft process. Like, he looked at the Stanford tape and was like, number one overall. Like, what's the big deal about this guy? You know what I'm saying? How Greg is. But then, like, when he got with the Colts, and Luck was slinging that thing, straight gunslinging.
You know what it is, bro. Andrew Luck wasn't black, bro.
Swear tendencies, what?
Really quickly, I did want to, and I did this article, but I did want to give some podcast love to the project that my lovely girl helped me with this draft season, just like she did last draft season. I wrote this article. Shout out to Christopher at Saints CSC, Canal Street Chronicles, for letting me post it as like a guest columnist and putting it on the front page for draft season. So if you haven't read it, I think it might still be on the front page of Saints CSC.com. It may not be, but long story short, basically what the article and data entails is that we took the data from every position from 2006 to 2022 draft that the players that the Saints have drafted, not undrafted free agents, only players that the Saints have drafted, good picks, bad picks, doesn't matter, and kind of formulated a athletic profile for each position group that the Saints kind of have had over these years. Then with those numbers, and when I say profile, it's height, weight, 40-yard dash, vertical, bench, broad jump, 3-cone, shuttle. With those numbers, using stats and spreadsheets and a lot of nerdy stuff, but basically we take that information and take all the information from players coming into the NFL, from their workout measurables from the combine, and basically use it to match prospects that fit into each positional group that the Saints, would fit the Saints prototypes in terms of athletic profile. So there's two categories. So it's all metrics, which basically means that the prospect, in terms of their workout measurables and their height and weight, they hit all the measurables. And there's limited metrics, which means that the prospects hit on all the metrics except for shuttle, 3-cone and shuttle. So going through the list from this year, I'm just going to point out some things that just kind of stood out to me. It's interesting that, a player I said that I would hate that the Saints to draft was George Karlaftis. He hits their limited metrics, which just makes a lot of sense to me in a lot of fucking ways. All metrics now for safety, we talked about Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton does meet the Saints limited metrics. One of my favorite safeties in the draft, Lewis Seen, safety from Georgia, just a fucking hitter, bro. Just a dog at the safe position. He hits all metrics. Tight end, friend of the podcast, Greg Dulcich, tight end, you are UCLA. I mean, his draft range was like, I know people saying third round, man. He might go bottom round 2, bro. He met all metrics in terms of the tight ends that the Saints have drafted historically. Probably the best tight end in the draft, Trey McBride. He hit limited metrics. And so something that when this was done that I was glad to see is that in terms of the list of players at wide receiver, there are only a few that hit all metrics for the Saints. Sky Moore, the guy that me and you kind of talked about offline, Eric is a Cayman, the wide receiver from Texas Tech, Christian Watson. Those are some of the receivers that had hit on all the metrics, but Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Alec Pierce, George Pickens, Treylon Burks, all meet the limited metrics for the Saints. So, and that's just I just named off kind of like the big ones. There's such a long list of players at wide receiver that hit the Saints metrics wide receiver rise. Like, I know we're saying that they need to get at least one in round 1, bruh. Man, they need to get one in the later round. Like, they need to come out with 2. If they give me a combination wide receiver, tight end, running back, and tackle, I'm good, bro. I'm good,
man. I would not bitch at all, bro. I swear. Until training camp, at least.
Quickly, let's wrap this up. Want to talk to you about, speaking of wide receiver, let's end it with wide receiver. Let's end it with the former draft bag. Kadarius Toney, report comes out, says that the Giants made it sound like they were shopping Kadarius Toney and like they just wanted him gone. If you read Alt Breer's article today, it kind of comes across a little different, makes it sound like they're not really shopping because he reported to like voluntary workouts today, but they are taking cause. It would take some type of good offer to pry them away from the Giants. I said this as soon as the report came out that he potentially was on the block. I said, offer 49 right now. Offer it.
Hell yeah.
Offer it. And people push back, well, maybe you can just get him for a third rounder. Listen, I saw what he did in 2 games against who? The Saints and the Cowboys. I know there's some warning signs. I know he might be a little kind of hot-headed. And I also think a player like him, and I feel like I'm making an excuse for him. A player like him being on a team like the Giants that doesn't win a lot is like a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of how, like, I think you get him in the locker room with CeeDee, with Mike Thomas, bruh. You throw Kadarius in that mix.
You could throw him in there with some dogs, man. Like,
he would be fine with flourish. Somewhere it was mentioned that as a Saints possibility. I know that they would. It's not gonna happen, man. I know this stuff. Like, no. But if it cost the 49th pick of this draft, kiss it fucking goodbye. Bye. See you later. Bye.
Please.
Do you want to talk about? I feel like it's a huge story. Just give me your quick Cliff Note version, Spark Note version of what you think about the Debo situation.
Oh man, like I'm just not. That's why I ain't even tweet about it, bro. I know, like, he feels a certain type of way, like, obviously, but I'm just not. I'm not investing into it, bro. It's basic for me. There's no reason for him to trade him right now.
None.
I ain't saying he won't get traded at some point, but right now there's no reason to trade. None.
And again, my girl is a diehard 49ers fan, so she's highly annoyed about the whole situation. And I told her this. I said, if you're the Niners, you have to call his bluff.
Yeah,
and until he says, if you don't trade me, I'm sitting out, and until he starts sitting out and he's missing game checks and he's showing you, and he's getting fined, and he's showing you that he's serious about not playing for the Niners ever again, you guys just got to call his bluff.
Just got to call it. And for, and then you got to look at this draft, like we talked about. This draft, a lot of good players, but no real, we got to get this player. So there's no reason to try to trade him. You don't know what you're going to get. I'm sure they put out feelers to see what they can get. And, is somebody going to give up what they gave up for oh my God, I hate how my memory does, man.
Tyler Buechler?
No, they went to KC, went to Miami.
Yeah, Tyler Buechler. Great coach.
Yeah, the Tyler Buechler, yeah. Are they going to get that for him? Maybe, but it's like nobody's trying to up that right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
and it sounds like if you listen to like Alt Breer and someone else reported this too, like I think it was Schefter. Oh no, he said something similar. But basically, if it was similar, the Niners want 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And I love Debo as a player. Love him as a player. But if you're a team, you have to give up a first round this year and the first round next year. And then you got to pay him $25+ million. I just don't see a lot of teams just saying, okay, I'll do that. I'll do it.
And apparently he's having reservations about the role he plays, taking snaps. I completely understand from his perspective. Like, I completely get it. But at the same time, I'm like, look, you know what I'm saying? If I'm going to pay you, you better take these handoffs, boy. Like, you was a weapon. Like, I don't know what you would. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a weapon. That's your job. So I'm just like, wake me up August, September, and we'll revisit. Because I'm not going to invest anything into it, man. Because ain't nothing going to happen right now. Nothing going to happen. He's under contract.
I said this, and I was playing devil's advocate, right? But I said, if the Niners feel like this bridge is like completely burnt and they just can't fix it. And if you have the Jets offering you the 10th overall pick and maybe something else. I think if you're the Niners, you really got to stop and think about it.
Right. I mean, obviously, there's an offer you can't refuse.
And I think it would start with the 10th pick. I'm not saying it would just be the 10th pick. I think it would be the 10th pick and a little more. But because then, I guess the way I see it is that the worst case scenario, you call his bluff. And then you realize that, oh shit, he is serious. He's sitting games. And then if you do trade him after the draft, you're not getting compensation until next year's draft. So then you potentially lose Debo on the field. And if you do trade him, you're not even getting his replacement or whatever until 2023. You were a couple of plays away from a Super Bowl last season, bro. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how shit just changes in the NFL like that, bro? Like I still think about that Texans Kansas City game. They were up 24-0, bro.
Crazy.
Everything changed.
My thing is, like John Lynch, John Lynch feeling solidified right now. That's how he feeling. So for him, I don't know about Kyle Shanahan, but for John Lynch, you want to sit out, you can sit out, bro. Like, I ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's on Kyle. Kyle got to figure that shit out. Like, you got to figure that out, but that's not my thing. I'm not about to give you up, bro. So that's why I just think it would take a team to come with a Godfather offer that's just ridiculous. And I just don't see that happening right now. Because, look, he's been banged up. He's, outstanding talent. Had a great season last year. But I just don't think he's done it enough year in and year out where a team is ready to just, it only takes one team, though. Like, the Jets, if I could see the Jets doing it, like, it'll take one of those type of teams to just, because the Jets been thirsty, bro. They want some kind of wide receiver. They want DK Metcalf, somebody. Like, please, somebody answer the phone. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing, though. They're thirsty, but they're thirsty to a degree.
To an agree.
Right.
It's kind of similar like Sean Payton and, it's like, hey, we thirsty, but you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like with Patrick Mahomes, it's like, oh, we like him, but, we don't want to trade up. It's like that with the Jets. Like, if y'all want to go get a crazy wide receiver, go get him. It was like they rather just kind of play it safe, but still kind of dip their toe in the water.
Yes, absolutely. They want to straddle the fence.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have hit on a lot of shit in this draft. I'm gonna ask you this before we wrap up. Give me, and I know I've asked you this before in the past, a couple of past draft episodes. Give me your dream draft pairing. Let me hear it. A realistic dream draft pairing.
In the first round?
First round. Just first round.
In a realistic. Oh, my dream. You take.
So I think the dream for both of us is Malik and Jameson, but not gonna happen, right? So give me realistic.
Okay, that's not gonna happen. Give me Chris Olave. And Kyle Hamilton. Just to balance it out. Whatever order, I don't care what order. Just both of those, you get a hitter, you get a ball on defense, and you get your wide receiver that can really, split the coverage. Like I just
wow, chef's kiss. It's funny because that's my realistic draft pairing 1B. My 1A is Kenny Pickett and Chris Olave.
Ooh.
I love Kyle Hamilton, but I go back to if you draft Kenny Pickett and he's top 15-ish good, if you get really lucky, maybe he's top 12-ish good.
Oh.
And you have him for 4 years, because he probably, because you have the luxury, like, and that's the thing about Kenny Pickett, like, he's the most ready NFL quarterback, but he can still sit a season under Jameis, which would probably do wonders for him. and then you have him cheat for 4 years, and you get him you get him and Jameis a weapon for next year. I just think the pro benefit to that is like in terms of like the trajectory for the team. Because if you hit on Kenny Pickett, bro, quarterback set for like the next 10 years. You don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about God, figure out we're in quarterback purgatory, what we're going to do. Now, don't get me wrong. If you draft Kenny Pickett and he doesn't work out like that, that's bad, bro. That's bad.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he could be Blaine Gabbert. I don't think so, though.
I think it's worse, and this was a great like debate someone had. I think Mike Florio tweeted it. But if you pass, like, so let's say they go Olave at 16 and Kenny Pickett's there at 19, and they don't draft him, and they draft Jordan Davis or who the fuck ever they could draft at 19. That's gonna make me roll my eyes and be upset. And let's say Kenny Pickett goes to the Steelers at 20, and he becomes like the next great Steelers quarterback, bro.
Man,
you don't live that down. You don't live it down. Chicago Bears still hearing shit for passing on Patrick Mahomes for fucking Mitch Trubisky, bro. That's not shit you live down, bro.
Because there's so many factors that go in. Quarterbacks get better. They can improve. You just got to fine tune the traits that you really like. Like, I can't forget the Cynthia Freeland episode. If you go back and listen to the last episode, Cynthia Freeland, she's great. And she talked about how he faced the most, NFL-like defenses as a college quarterback, mixing up coverages and, pre-snap, post-snap change-ups and stuff like that. And he read them and diagnosed and attacked them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, like, those type of things is what makes the great quarterbacks that really elevate you. And I'm not saying he's going to be the great quarterback, but I'm just saying those type of traits are really what's important to me, kind of more important to me than the big arm, or the hand size and all that stuff. And all those things are issues. Like, the hand size is an issue. He has a nice arm, but it's not like a bazooka. How he handles internal pressure, that's a question. So those are questions that they gotta ask. But I'm just saying, like, some of those things, and people like to throw out the late bloomer thing, like, oh, he's just, he got great in his last year, like. So what? Like, that just shows improvement. Like, that's a characteristic to me that someone that could look at themselves from a year past and say, okay, I need to prove this, and this. And they get better.
I'm not saying I do not want to make this sound like I am comparing them as prospects.
No.
But Joe Burrow got better.
Same thing, bro. Like, he could have went. Joe Burrow could have went to the draft after that year when he came down the street. And he would have been a 4th round pick, 4th, 5th round pick. You know what I'm saying? But he came back and invested all his time. He didn't have to go to class, nothing. Invested all his time in the football, and he was on a talented ass team.
And
he improved.
Yep.
And he improved, bro. And he
improved. Mightily.
And we're number 1 overall. The number 1 overall pick, So that just shows you, man, like, these dudes can improve. So I'm just saying, you got to take all that in when you're trying to look at these quarterbacks. And, some of that is trying to convince yourself and this and that. It's a gamble, man. These quarterbacks, bro, go look at the quarterbacks taken over the last 10, 15 years in the first round. That shit hard. Like, it's hard. Everybody be wrong. Everybody. I don't care. Greg Cosell, fucking anybody you think is like super intelligent, that's just smart.
What is it, Pro Football Reference? What's the one, Greg?
Pro Football Reference?
Yeah. Oh, I just want to see. Because I know it's true, right? But I just want to see it like in my face. But to your point that I think you're making, I couldn't have said it any better myself. So for me, like, that is my realistic. I don't know. I just don't know if the Saints have the balls to go quarterback, bro. I
don't know. Yeah, I don't know either, man. Like, they have done this since Archie, man. 71.
And and I don't know if this is.
You tell me DA got the nuts to do that? DA on his first year? A defensive guy?
Maybe it's not DA. Maybe Jeff Ireland, and I'll say this. Maybe Jeff Ireland maybe sees a little, not a, some. Maybe Jeff Ireland sees some Ryan Tannehill and Kenny Pickett.
It's possible.
Maybe.
Or maybe he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking when they took that tackle. Instead of Matt Ryan.
Oh, nigga, they about to trade up to number 5 to get Charles Cross, bro. Talking about, bro. He said, "Fuck it, and I'll do it again."
Tell you, these dudes. They just like us, bro. All these dudes that working in front offices and all that shit, they have their own internal biases. They excuse their own behavior. They, find ways to justify what they do. So they're just like us, man. A lot of people want to think they're geniuses. They ain't, man.
I want to name off the quarterbacks going back to 1998. Drafted. This is just one overall. This is not top 10. This is just one overall. Just give us Peyton Manning, Tim Couch, Michael Vick, Derek Carr. Right now we're at 50-50. Okay, in terms of good quarterbacks and busts. Carson Palmer, Eli Manning, Alex Smith, Jamarcus Russell, Matt Stafford, Sam Bradford, Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Burrow, Lawrence. That's just one overall, bro. It's hard, bro.
You got the number 1 overall pick. Get to pick who you want.
Everybody.
And you 50-50 at best. It's hard, man. Multi-billion dollar organizations.
The top, the 2020 draft class in quarterbacks first 2 rounds. Burrow, Tagovailoa, Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. Round 2, Jalen Hurts. It's hard, man. But I do think the Saints should take a stab if they get it. Anyway, we're getting out of here. We will not have any episodes until Wednesday when we'll be doing our live stream on YouTube, coming live from Vegas, watching the draft, having drinks. It's going to be a fun time. Please, 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 subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our live stream. And then, so that's going to be on Thursday during the draft. Ryan and I, we leave on Wednesday to get to Vegas. And then on Friday, we plan to hopefully be able to record a post-draft first round pod, just like a quick episode talking about our rapid reaction of the Saints picks in round 1. Round 2, we're not going to do a live stream. The 4 of us, we're going to go out, have a fucking amazing, great dinner to cap out or kind of cap the week in Vegas at a nice fancy place. And we just looking forward to it, man. I'm more looking forward to the experience and just having vacation than probably more than the actual draft because I don't trust these dudes.
I need it so bad, bro.
Need it, bro. I put it in today. I've driven 950 miles this month for work alone. I need a break. I'm running ragged out in Southern California trying to save kids, man, bro.
I haven't had a day off since Christmas Day.
Man said he ain't going to Miami. He working.
I'm working, man. So I am going to squeeze every minute out of it, bro. I am going 100%.
Shit. So if you haven't had a day off since Christmas, we are 4 months to this day removed from Christmas. So we both need it. We're gonna have fun. Hopefully, the Saints don't have vacation when they are on the clock during the draft on Thursday. Again, thank everyone for listening, supporting us. We really appreciate it. We know that draft fatigue is a real thing, but we also know that the next couple of days with content, hopefully we'll see the numbers skyrocket because y'all want to listen to what the Saints did. So till we see each other on Thursday, have a good week. With that, we're out.
Peace.
O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly.